All right. So during our earlier classes, we have learnt about the message digest, right? So what are the usages of the message digest? How are we calculating the hash value? It's appended with the message. Does it help you to authenticate the message, or does it help you to authenticate the user? Can we encrypt the message and send? How the hash value is verified at the receiver side? Can we use it for digital signature? In that case, what's our mode of operation? So these are the generic questions we had, and we found answer in the earlier class, right? So now we are going to get into a specific algorithm called SHA-512. Okay, so today we are going to learn about SHA-512. But before that, we are going to quickly recall what are the requirements of a hash algorithm. The points are known to us earlier, but today's session will help us to know it in a probably in a formal way of what are the requirements of hash, right? See, first one is any hash algorithm which you are going to learn or which you are going to deploy should be able to take up the size of the input size can be of any size. It could be 512 bits, or it could be 1024 bits, or 442 bits, and so on. So a random sized input data can be subjected into a hash algorithm. Okay, so h means hash. So h can be applied to a block of data of any size. So there is no requirement that it must be 512, or it might be no, it should be 612, and so on. So it could be of any data size. Though it is not the technically very important point, for implementation purpose, this is crucial. Second one, whatever may be the size of the input, your hash algorithm H should be able to produce a fixed length output. It could be 512, it could be 128 bit, and so on, but the size should be fixed size. All right, so that's the second requirement. Then the third one is your function hash. Okay, this is H means hash, X is your input value. H of X is relatively easy to compute for any given X. Okay, now, for the calculation of hash, the algorithm, it could be software, it could be hardware, anything, it should be able to easily calculate the hash value. Of course, not for the attacker, but for the genuine user. Given the message M or given the message X, the hash function should be relatively easy. It should not be very complex that it cannot be implemented at all. Right? It should be easy for anyone to compute. Fourth one is pre-image resistance. We call it as one-way property. Okay? We call it as one-way property, which is known to us for any given hash value H. Okay? So H could be applied, maybe H of X is equal to H. Okay? So this is your original message. So for the message, when you apply the hash, you get the hash code or the hash value. It is computationally infeasible to find Y such that H of Y is H, which means given the value of H, you will not be able to find the original message X. It is known to us, but okay, this is called pre-image resistance or resistant. Next one is second pre-image resistant, or it is called as weak collision resistant. Probably the fifth and the next one, which is the sixth one, looks similar, but one is called weak collision, the other one is called strong collision. You are going to see, but you should know the fundamental difference between these two. What is that weak collision resistance, or in other words, second pre-image resistant? For any given block X, this is your input value, the original message, it is computationally infeasible. Okay, it is very difficult to find another message Y, okay, which is not equal to X, such that H of Y is equal to H of X, which means you got a message X, okay, the block of message X, and you cannot find a parallel another message Y, such that if you do the hash for these two, you will get the same hash value. Okay, they will be producing the same hash value. All right. Now, what is that strong collision? I'll just move it slightly here. Okay. So, thank you. Okay, what is that strong collision resistance? It is computationally infeasible to find any pair. Okay, any pair with X is not equal to Y, such that H of X is equal to H of Y. So I want you to find the difference between these two. What is that weak collision property? What is that strong collision property? For any given message, you can never find a pair. Okay, that these two messages will always give the same hash. Okay, so this is not going to this should not happen. So these are the important hash requirement. Of course, our a digital signature or our authentication, it all depends on these three points, whereas the other three are the desirable characteristics for implementation purpose. All right. Moving on, let's learn about secure hash algorithm, and we are not going to learn about every of the secure hash algorithm. So SHA stands for secure hash algorithm, and there are multiple algorithms available based on the type of or the size of the value it is taking as input, and this kind of bird size it is treating, and the message digest size. What's the size of the digest or the hash code it is producing? Based on that, we have got n number of different versions of SHA algorithms. So SHA-1, SHA-224, SHA-256, and so on. And the message size, block size, word size, digest size, everything is tabulated here. It's better if you know all of them. There is nothing technical to explain to you. By why should I talk about that? Though all these things are available, we are going to give our attention to SHA-512 during our discussion today, right? So we are going to learn about SHA-512, how it takes the input, what are the various steps or processing steps the message has to go through to get the final output. Okay, so why is it called as SHA-512? The message digest size is 512 bits in size. So all these are in bits. All the values are given in bits, right? So it takes the message size, which is of less than 2 raised to 128 bits in size. It is working on various blocks. So original message is divided into blocks. So they may be M1, M2 up to MN, for instance. So every message is divided. This is a block. This is another block. So every blocks are given some number, and the size is 1024 bits in size. And then during the processing, the message blocks are divided into words. Okay, so the words here is of 64 bits in size. So this is going to be a processing word size, and then the final outcome will be 512 bits in size. So SHA-512 processes the messages into blocks of size 1024 bits, and then it produces the output of a fixed size of 512 bits. Whatever may be your input size, it could be bigger, 1024 or 2048 or 10200, whatever it is, and the output is going to be a 512 bit size, which is your hash code, which is your hash value you are going to get out of the whole of the input. Okay, so the size of the input does not affect the size of the output hash code. It is fixed size in the message authentication in the hash algorithm. Even the secure hash algorithm possesses the same quality. All right, some generic points. So the SHA-512 algorithm takes the input message with a maximum length of, this is in writing, the previous table, less than 2 raised to 2 power 128 bits, and produces the 512 bits, and input is processed as 1024 bit blocks. All right, moving on. Right. So this is the overview, the overall picture of SHA-512. This is very simple, guys. You are supposed to remember this. It is better if you take a photographic image of this in your mind. All right, so I keep it here in your mind, because this is the overview. What happens? You got your original message. We'll assume that the message is of L bits. Why is it L? There is L here. These two has a correlation. All right. So original message, which is of L bits, maybe 2045 bits. I do not know, some size. So this is our original message. Okay, and this original message is taken and it is converted into 1024 blocks. I'm sorry, the blocks of 1024 bits. So it could be 5 blocks or 10 blocks or 25 blocks depending on the size of the input message. How are they converted? We are going to see in the subsequent slides. But you remember, you should remember there is something called padding. Okay, so we call this as padding. Sometimes padding, or in many times this padding is used to confuse the attacker as well. Okay, so padding is happening, which contains 1 followed by some number of zeros. All right, some number of zeros as required, and then another 128 bit is added at the end, which shows the length of the message originally before the padding, before the 128 bits is added, the original message, that is why this is the original message L bits, that is represented in the 128 bits block. So this is always appended. Okay, all right. And then yes, I'm going to explain to you how this how many bits are added, how this L is added, probably in the subsequent slides. And then, as I said, the message is converted into number of blocks is of size 124 bits. So because there are n bits in this example, so you have got n blocks, 1 2, then you'll have 3 up to you will have nth block here. Each of each blocks is having the size of 1024 bits, and they are denoted as M1, M2 up to Mn. Very simple. All right. And then these messages blocks, I call it as block here. Okay. So these blocks are going through some various transformations. That is what your output is. Okay. So it goes to a function called f. So it is very important for us to know what happens in this function f. Okay. And then you got your addition. So addition is here 2 raised to 64. It is going to add, and then it takes the modulus 64. Okay, modulus 2 raised to 64. All right. So in order to avoid the wraparound, so it takes the mod value to the 2 raised to 64, and then that is what happening here. Then you got something called IV. So this IV stands for initial vector. And what is this initial vector all about? What is the value? Yes, but you remember, you have to note one point here. The initial vector is of size 512 bits, and that is denoted by h0. H0 is the hash value 0, which means hash is not created yet. Okay, so that is given as the initial vector. So this initial vector, and then the output of the function, the initial vector is given to the function, right? Given to the function, the output is added with the initial vector to produce h1. This is the output of the first block. Is it taken as the output? No, this is not. This is only intermediate value. This intermediate hash value is fed again to the next round. Okay, so this is something initial vector, and then that is denoted as h0, then h1 is going, then h2 is going, and finally you will have hn minus 1 here. This hn minus 1 is fed to nth round. The final one will be your hash code. Okay, now we should really know what's happening in this f and what is this IV all about. All right, I'm sure the subsequent slides will reveal what they are. Right. But before that, in this formal way, append the padding bits. I said in the initial stage, padding is always done. So the message is padded so that the length is congruent to 896. So the total length of the message, not L, but the total length of the message is congruent. Congruent is okay equal to 896 more 100 1024. What is this 896? Don't worry. We have got something called 128 bit at the end, right? So putting together, it is going to be 1024. Okay, so 896 plus 128. I'm sure it is 1024, right? 4, 1, 2, 8 plus 1, 9 plus 1, 10. So 1024. The total length is 1024. So your original message has to be of anything, but if you take the modulus 1024, it should give 896. Okay, so you have got n blocks, 100 blocks or 200 blocks, whatever it is, but everything put together you should get 896 if you take the modulus 1024. Okay, padding is always done. Please remember, padding is always done even if your original message is of the required size, that is 896, congruent to 896 modulus 1024. Hence the padding will be always ranging from 1 to 1024. It cannot be 0, because even if the message is of original size, the record size, you always do the padding. So minimum of 1 bit will be added, maximum 1024 bits will be added. 1024 is applicable when the original message is in the record length. Okay, what is that padding? Padding is 1 followed by the record number of zeros. If it is 1024, 1 followed by 1023 zeros. That is what shown here. Okay, this is what padding. Put together, you will have 896 modulo 1024. And then something more, append length. Okay, length is appended, that is the last bit you could see here. Okay, the length is appended. What is the happening in the length? A block of 128 bits is appended to the message. This block contains the length of the original message. Okay, before padding, please remember the original message is L. So original message before padding, what is the total length? That is given in this 1028, I'm sorry, 128 bits, which is appended at the end. So everything put together is going to give different blocks of size 1024 bits. Okay. So what's the outcome? The message is an integer multiple of 1024 bits in length. N number of 1024. All right. So the expanded message is represented, okay, simple M1, M2 up to Mn, so that the total length of the message, expanded message is N time 1024. This is simple for us to understand. Okay. This is what happening at the pre-processing step. Though it is a processing step, it is a pre-processing step. We haven't started calculating our secure hash algorithm. All right. Next, this let's concentrate only on this one, and then we can expand our calculation to the entire block. So what happens in function f? Now our interest is towards function f. Okay. So what's happening in the case of function f? Before that, you got something called iv, right? So initial vector, that is called initial buffer here. What happens in that buffer? A 512-bit buffer is used to hold the intermediate and final bit. All right, so you should remember that initially you got some value that is called initial value or initial vector. So it has a buffer value. What is that buffer? Buffer is a place to hold the data. Okay, some registers, right? So this buffer is going to have size 512 bits, and this value is going to be changed all the time. Initially it will be initialized with initial value, then it is changed after the first round, not first round, after the processing a first block, then after the processing a second block the value is changed. Finally, after the nth block is processed, you have hn. This is where hash code, so the value at the buffer is the hash code after all the processing of all the blocks. Please remember that. Okay, so the buffer is represented as 8 registers, each of size 64 bits. Okay, so that's put together you will have 512 bits. So 512 bits, each of is of size 64 bits. They are represented in the hexadecimal value. So this is A. I should have put a colon here. I'm sorry. Okay, so you got 8 registers, each of which of size 64 bits, and these are all the initial values. So initial values or initial vector, this is how. So any of your SHA-512 operation has the initial buffer like this. So it is easy for you to implement in the hardware based. So because it can take up from your program, from the registers, that it will be initialized with these values. All right, and then the output of the 80th round, which means there are 80 rounds in a function, okay, is added to the input of the first round to produce hi. Don't worry about this 80th, the number suddenly comes out of blue. I'll explain to you what is this 80 shortly. Produce the addition is independently, okay, and then finally, all right, so final one will be your hash value in the buffer. So it has got a buffer of 8 registers. Each register is of 64 bits in size, and they are initialized with some standard fixed values, and these values continuously change till the nth block of your input message is processed. Okay, all right. What is that 80th? I said something like 80th in the previous one. That is what 80th. So you have got 0, 1, 2 up to 79. So totally 80 rounds. This is what happening in your this is what happening to your registers. Okay. So this is your first register. Okay. What are all the things which are given? You have got a word called W0, and then you got a K value. K is a constant value. Generally K represents constant. Okay, so you every of the round, there are 80 rounds in a single function. So in these 80 rounds, this is round 0, round 1, round 2 up to 79 rounds, and every of the round is given with the word that is denoted with from, that is derived from the ith message block. Okay, if it is M1, okay, from first message block you are getting, and then your hash value. What is the hash value? Initially it is iv, that is hash 0. All the 8 registers are going through round 0, value is changed, going to round 1, value is changed, going to round 2, value is changed, And finally, the first round hash code is produced. Okay, interesting. All right, what happens to these registers is very important now. Okay, that is what our the heart of our function. All right, now we also need to know what is this w, what is this k, and we will learn about this w and k as we progress. All right, so generally whatever we have seen so far. So processing model consists of 80 rounds. Yes, we have just seen in the previous one. Each round takes 512-bit buffer value, that is what our registers, right? A B C D E F G H, and updates the contents of the buffer. Okay, all the values in the registers are updated or changed in every round. Each round T, okay, so here it is using subscript T. Each round makes use of the 64-bit value WT. What is this W? This is a word derived from the original message M. If it is from M1, M1. If it is from M2, M2. So from every of the message, 64-bit values derived. How is it derived, sir? Wait, we have a screen for that. But messages are derived. So it starts from W0 up to W79. Each round also makes use of additive constant K, K0, K1, K2 up to K9, K79. What is this additive constant? How are they derived? What is this constant value? Are they random value? No, no. These words are the, remember what this constant value K. First 64 bits of the fractional parts of the cube root of first 80 prime numbers. 3 is a prime number, right? So you take 3, okay, cube root, you will have some values. First 64 bits of the fractional part. After this you have got, for example, x, y, z dot, a, b, c, d, e, f, right? First 4 bits of the fractional part is the constant for k0. Okay, so first prime number is, what's the first prime number? 2 or 1 or 3? I do not know. All right, so first 80 prime numbers are taken. Okay, 2, 3, 5, 7, and then 11, 13, 17, 19. Forgive me if I make a mistake, 23, and so on. So these values are taken and their cube root is calculated, and the first 64 bits in the fractional part is taken. That is what your round constant. So that is the revealed one. That's a fixed value called K. All right, every of the processing bit takes two things. One is W, the other one is K. WT and KT are the values given at the Tth round to your function. All right, what's the output? After all n blocks are processed, the output of the nth block is the 512-bit digest, which is available in the buffer. All right. Now it's important for us to know what's happening to A, B, C, D, E. If I know what is happening to this A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, then the 512 process is over. Okay. So initially H naught, that is your initial value, which is available in the buffer. What's happening in every of the round I? It goes for sum of 64 because the value is taken modulo 2 power 64, as I have already mentioned, and it takes two values, hi minus 1 and the current value of your register. What is hi minus 1? Same way. So hi minus 1 will be calculated as sum of 64, hi minus 2, and then a b c d I minus 1. This is what you will get, I minus 1. Finally, if you backtrack, finally you will get h0. Okay, h0 is your initial value. All right, so iv stands for the initial value or initial vector. A B C D is all these registers of these 8 registers of 64 bit in size. N is the number of blocks in the message. Some 64 is the additional modulo 2 power 64. Then MD is the message digest you calculate finally. It's all okay, sir. What's happening to ABCDE? Yes, now we are probably the core and important and the final part of our SHA-512. What's happening to all these 8 registers is the core of your SHA-512. So this is, let me say this is the Tth round or maybe ith round, and this will be given to the I plus first round. Okay, I plus first round. What is happening, sir? For example, what's happening B, I can easily write the formula here. B is equal to A. So the value at the register B for the next round is the value at the register in A currently. Okay, it is very easy to write majority of these values. For instance, look at D. D is actually C. F is actually E. G is F. H is G. Where are we getting the change? A is going through multiple changes. See, a lot of calculations are happening to A, and C is actually B. C also does not go through much change. B is actually A, that is also not going through. E goes through some calculations, and what else happening? Yeah. So mainly A and E goes through a severe change. Lot of changes are happening. All right, and then you get the final value. Right. Now we need to find out what is the function or the formula for A and E and the other values. Right. Let's move on. This is what happening, sir. Look at H. H is G. G is F. F is E. D is C. Okay. Changes are happening with E and A. Okay. What is A? How do we calculate A? A is T1 plus T2. What is T1, T2? T1, T2 are the temporary values which are getting, right? This is important for you guys to understand. What is T1? This is what T1. T1 is calculated by H plus. Is it true? Okay, where is H? Yeah, somewhere something's happening, right? H is given, and then some CH is calculated. What is that CH? CH of EFG. What is that CH, sir? Right hand side it's given. CH of EFG is the conditional function. If E, then F, else G. If the value at E, it takes bitwise value, and you go for E and F. It's an AND operation, and then not of E and G is calculated. They are going through and XR value to get the CH of EFG. Why is it? Just to create confusion, just to change the value, right? The conditional function, if E, then G, then F, else G. Very simple, right? That is what happening in this CH function. Then this is a summation function of E. Is it denoted here? It is denoted here. It is the value of E is rotated 14 times. What is rotation? Circular right shift. Okay, the value is right shifted circular 64 bit 28 times. I'm sorry, here 14 times of E XR, then that is rotated 18 times, then 41 times. You will get this summation value. Okay, that is what taken here. What is this WT and KT? You remember the W is the value derived from the original message, given as the input to the round, and K is the constant value. Oh, sorry, it's not writing. Okay. K is the constant value. Okay. K is the constant value. Okay. All right. It's malfunctioning. All right. So this you got from the cube root, the first 64 bits of the fraction, which is received by taking the cube root of first 80 prime numbers, right? So that is what given here. So it's the additive constant that is given here. And then what is T2? T2 is also explained in the same way. Rotate 28 times, 34 times, 39 times. You get the summation. Then MAJ of ABC. What is MAJ of ABC? A, and the function is true only of the majority of the arguments are true. If two values are true, then the value is 1. Otherwise, it's going to be 0. So it's A and B, XR A and C, XR B and C. That is what you get the majority of ABC. And then A is calculated by summing these two, T1 plus T2. T is the additional modulo 2 power 64. Please remember that. And then E is D plus T1. Okay. So if we could remember this diagram, then it is very, very easy for us to write these functions. So A and E go through the value. A is T1 plus T2. You know how T1 is calculated, how T2 is calculated. And E is D plus T2. I'm sorry, T1. All right. So this is what happening in the round function. Is it all over? How are we exactly getting this W? That is the value which is pending. Because we said it is expanded, it is derived from the original message. But how are they expanded? How are we deriving it? Still that is not explained. Okay, probably I have one more slide to talk about. Yeah, here we have got how this is your original message. Yes, it's working. Thank you. Yeah, it's working. Now it is we got the original message maybe for the ith round. All right, so you got W0. These are all 64 bits, 64 bits, and you have got 16 such values, 0 to 15, 16 such values, no problem. How are you generating the value for 16th round? How many you are supposed to generate? 80 such values, 0 to 79. First 16s are straight away. The 17th one, that is W16. How are they? How do we calculate? You go for the 2 power 64 modulo summation of W0, W1, W9, W14. These four values are taken. Okay, W0 is the first word, W1 is the second word, W9 is the eighth word, and the 13th word they are taken. W0 is given as it is, W9 is given as it is. W1 and W14 they go through some two sigma functions. What is happening in the sigma function is very simple, sir. It rotates the value one time, XR rotates the value 8 times, then shrink. What is shrink? Right shift of 64 argument x by n bits by padding. Okay, it is not circular, it is only right shift. The remaining values are replaced with 0. Okay, so that is what happening in this function. So these are applied for sigma and the other sigma 0 and sigma 1. This is sigma 0, this is sigma 1, and you get the output. And what is plus, what is rotated, we know. Okay, that is how a particular word is calculated for 16. Then what's happening to 17th one? And okay, you got the logic. And finally you will end up with getting these values. We also have got no sigma, how the values are calculated and so on. So this is your schedule of the word which is given to every round of your SHA function. All right, so finally you will have your buffers, 8 registers of each 64 bits in size would have been changed huge, and that will be your digest, message digest or hash code which you get, which is of going to be size 512 bits. Okay, that's what happening in SHA 512. Right, so this is quite interesting. Probably one or two images or the diagrams you may have to remember, but very interesting one which is happening. You can't make any mistake when you are doing the calculation. So quickly, what have we seen today? Yeah, I'm not going to talk about that. So we are going to, we have concentrated on SHA 512 today, which takes the block size of 1024 bits in size, produces 512 fixed size hash code. All right, so that's same thing. The overview of your hash code. So original message is taken as L, and then you go for padding. Padding is done always. So the range, the value range, the number of bits which are added ranges from 1 to 1024. Which will be congruent to 896 modulo 1024, giving a space for 128 bit of a small value which is appended that holds the size of the original message in bits. Okay, that's what happening. So padding is always done as I said, and at the end of the day you will have 1024 bits blocks, 2 blocks, 3 blocks, humped number of blocks. So generally it is n number of blocks. All these n blocks are processed separately but not independently. What do you mean by that? See, this block is processed separately, this block is processed separately, but they are not done independently because the value which they are expecting is to be received from the previous one. Now you can find out how many of these values can be generated using parallel processing, or we should only depend on the serialization here. In the hardware implementation you can debate on that. All right, and then what is your hash code? You'll get the hash code here. What is that, sir? You got the registers of 8, and the values are changed from day one or from first step. So initially it has some value. We know what is the value. It is fixed with some values, hexadecimal values, and then it is continuously changed in every of the round. Okay, okay, so the round function. So this is the initial value or the initial vector of your registers. There are 80 rounds. So in each of the rounds, the values of the registers are changed. Keep it here. And every of the round is scheduled with words of size 64 bits. So W0, W1, W2 up to W79 is given. In the last slide, we saw how these words are taken from the original message. And every round is given a constant value called K. I also have said to you how this K constant value is taken. So this is where your initial vector is fed for the zero for the first round, and then it's changed so that the value can be given to the second round, and so on. So this is the summary. You got your H naught, which is the initial value. You have the message digest received by HN. So HI at any round, it is sum 64, which is 2 power 64 modulus value, the previous hash code, and the current value in the A. So like that, you can backtrack to go H0. We know what's happening. And this is the heart of your function, SHA function. If you could understand this, your SHA is quite easy. So the values of the registers are changed continuously 80 times in every of the for every of the message block before they are fed to the next round. And majority of them are just copied from the previous one from various registers except A and E. A and E are changed. See, A is T1 plus T2, E is D plus T1. All right. And then how do we calculate T1 and T2 is given, and its explanation also we saw in detail how are they calculated. And finally we stopped here how these words are scheduled for every of this round, and what's happening in the sigma function, what is rotation, what is the shrink function. It is not circular, it is only right shift, so that you get the zeros in the preceding values. All right, paired with 0 on the left, which is preceding values will be 0. And finally, you will have the last round, that is HN. Okay, so HN, this will be your hash code, which is of 512 bits in size. All right.